a two-part lesson on T-Bone Walker's approach to kind of jump-esque phrasing. In my last YouTube video, I did a variation of some of T-Bone's ideas over a slow blues. So now we're going to look at some ideas over a jump blues or a up-tempo swinging blues. So, and this is actually taken from a modern jump blues player, one of my favorite guitar players, and it's very close to note-for-note take on a solo he plays on a classic T-Bone tune. He takes like 6 minutes of just incredible jump language, really tasty. And so we're going to I've created a lesson out of a variation of the first two solos. That's what you heard in the intro. If you're interested in the full lesson package where I'll break down both solos, there'll be backing tracks, tab, recommended listening, all that, you can find the link underneath this video. But for now, we're going to go over solo 1. So here we go. The solo's in the key of C, and we open up with this kind of a choke bend on the pickup. So we bend, and then we kind of mute out the sound and pick the 8th fret of the B string, which is the 5 of the 1 chord, the G note, on the downbeat for 2 8th notes. And it's key to get that kind of muting, you know, because T-Bone often kind of gets like, he varies between. So kind of when you do that bend, you want to kind of make sure that it's not ringing like, right? And then here's the next phrase. Okay, great mix of minor and major, because you know our first phrase over measure 1, and then whether there's an actual quick change to the 4 chord or not, we kind of imply a 4 chord with this by not hitting the major third, right? Because the minor third, thinking from a 1 chord perspective, that minor third is also the 7th of the 4 chord, and it really kind of gets at the key chord tones of that 4. You wouldn't want to play the major third over the 4. Kind of sound weird, you know. So that's, so we, in a simplistic thought, we're thinking dominant 7, or we're thinking flat. If we're thinking relative to the 1 chord, we're thinking flat third happens when you're going over a 4 chord. If we're thinking playing off the 4 chord, we're thinking of that 7. So let's play it through so far. We have. Okay, so that second riff has another one of those kind of choke bends on the 10th fret, so quarter step. Then we're going up the 8th fret of the B and high E, then coming down, just classic, you know, kind of pentatonic blues riff. Okay, and then for that downbeat of the 3rd measure, which would be the 1 chord again. So if we go 1 chord 1st measure, 4 chord 2nd measure, we're really thinking about targeting key chord tones on the downbeats, you know, the major third for that downbeat of the 1 chord again. Here it is again. Okay, now here's what many people call the kind of T-Bone 9, right? Approached from a half step above. Okay, so let's look at the actual chord, and then we'll look at the approach. All right, basically starting on the A string, 7th fret, we have 7th fret with our index finger, 8th fret of the D with our ring, 7th fret of the G with our middle, and 8th fret of the G with our pinky. So 7 8 7 8. But we come at it from a half step up. Right? So now, leading into the 4 chord, we have kind of like a pickup. So the downbeat of the 4 falls on that again, that E flat note. Think of it as either the flat 3 of the 1 or the dominant 7 of the 4. And then we have okay, so like a nice long phrase there. So coming out of our 2, 3. Okay, so here it is. Let's go that far. So we're thinking now we're playing over the 4 chord again in the 5th measure. And there's a quarter step bend on that 10th fret, which is basically the root note. And T-Bone does a lot of these kind of like quarter step bends, or if you're mimicking his style, it's a kind of a unique characteristic, you know. Okay, and then we come back to the major third of that 4 chord. Okay, I'm outlining a 9 right here, but it's not your normal F9. It's got the 5 in the bass. Okay, so the major third is the A. Okay, so that's now the first part of the 4 riff, and then we have let me do the whole thing actually. So then we kind of repeat the second part of that. So here it goes. Then back to the 5. I'm sorry, the 10th fret of the D. And then we walk it down chromatically. Okay. Now, really key here. So we're walking down chromatically from the 10th fret, 9, 8, slide in from the 6th to the 7th on the A string. Here's the whole thing again. Okay, now again, we just navigated both the 5th and 6th measures, which cover the 4 chord, right? And we played and then thinking about note targeting again, square on the major third for the transition back to the 1. Okay, the major third being an E. So the first time in the first riff, we targeted the major third for the downbeat of the 3rd measure. Here we're targeting it for the transition back into the 1 chord in the 7th measure. Okay, now leading into the turnaround, we have our T-bone 9. We just kind of punctuate that on the coming right into the turnaround. So we're coming 2, 3. Okay, and that we go from that into a D minor 7, played in what would be like considered like a Freddie Green style shape from the guitarist from the Count Basie Orchestra, where you got the root on the 10th fret of the low E, you got your ring finger, and then you're muting, your middle finger is muting the A string, and then you got your ring finger on the 10th fret of the D, and your pinky on the 10th fret of the G. So you're playing all 4 of those strings down, but the A string is getting muted out. Okay, thinking D minor for the turnaround as 2 and then 5, 1, rather than 5, 4, 1. Okay, so we're thinking 2, 5, 1 because that's kind of more jazzy of a turnaround and more T-bone kind of feeling. So here we go. Okay, so a lot of great language there. So we go downbeat of the turnaround, and then we have, okay, so just like thinking pentatonic, you know, just straight ahead. There's that quarter step bend again, and then coming down to the 10th fret of the A string, approaching half step approach on the 9th fret of the D to the root on the 10th fret. Here it goes. Here it goes again. And then we tag it with a little kind of outlining a major triad, but then we bring that 9 in there to give it that jazzy feel. So here's okay, so let's take it, where should we take it from? Well, why don't we do the whole thing? See if we can do the whole thing here now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so that's part 1. If you're interested in checking out the whole lesson, follow the link underneath the video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.